10 secrets the royal family will never expose. Epileptic prince. While each generation of the royal family has their share of problems, just like any other family, it seems that the late Queen Elizabeth's father's generation was particularly troubled. Not only was his brother Edward consorting with a certain German soldier, and his brother George passed away in a plane crash, but his younger brother John suffered from epilepsy. John was kept at the family estate in Sandringham, accompanied only by nurse Charlotte Bill and a male orderly. When he was brought to London to see doctors, he was transported in a car with the blinds drawn. He was kept out of the family photos taken at Buckingham Palace, and only a few photos of him have been found. Sadly, Prince John passed away at the age of 13, and while most of his family was devastated, it's been alleged that Edward showed no interest in mourning his little brother, who was also referred to as the Animal. I think a more suitable name would have been Twitch. Bad blood. Diana's interview and voice recordings say one thing and the royal family says another, so we'll never know for certain what exactly went down between the People's Princess and the family of her ex-husband. But we safely assume that whatever happened, Diana's family haven't forgotten her and aren't on best terms with the Windsors. Evidence of this was clear at the wedding between Diana's son Prince William and Kate Middleton. Diana's brother and a few other relatives were invited, but as far as the reports go, they chose to sit on Kate's side. Being Diana's family, they should have sat on the groom's side of the church, but apparently to want as little to do with the family as physically possible. If that doesn't scream bad blood, I don't know what does. Vampire. This explains so much. Vlad III, known endearingly as Vlad the Impaler, is said to be the inspiration behind the story of the vampire in Bram Stoker's Dracula. The tyrant was fond of torturing his subjects and used to dip his bread in their blood. The current royals are related to him, though Princess Mary of Teck, Queen Elizabeth's grandmother, she was a descendant of two of Vlad's sons, which makes King Charles a great-grandson, 16 times removed to Vlad. While the late Queen might not want to remind people of this, King Charles has happily commented that he has Transylvania in his blood, and has even bought a farmhouse in the Royal Romania village near the location of Vlad's old castle. Hidden cousins. The issue of mental illness has traditionally been taboo, and though the royal family are now more open to discussing the realities of it, we're not so sure that that would have happened if a member of the family was diagnosed with any mental or intellectual condition. But back in the 1940s, two members of the family were born with disabilities. They were hardly spoken about in public. Nerissa and Catherine Bowes were first cousins to the late Queen and nieces to her mother. Suffering from mental disabilities, the girls were put into homes that would care for them and were hardly ever mentioned by any members of the family. The nurses at the institutions claimed that no family members came to see the girls, but the family denies this. I do believe that they might have hidden some cousins or some family members in the past, and this is kind of disgusting to hear about. I do believe that the royals have hidden families in the past, and honestly, if you look into the history, there's a lot of underlying issues that could have brought up these hidden family members. Now, I will say that protocol does kind of claim for people in the royal family to be very tight-knit, and they have to do everything very organized. So it would have been taboo in their eyes, not in my eyes, not in everyone else's eyes, because obviously being mentally disabled is not something that should be hidden, and the royals are very disgusting for doing that, I might add. But they did it because they want to hold a good image. Hiding family members because of mental disabilities is just very taboo in my eyes, even if you think them having mental disabilities is taboo in the royals' eyes. I don't agree with that. It's something they can't control at birth. Accept them into your family, show the spotlight to them, and honestly, that could have been a very good opportunity to raise awareness for the mental disabilities that these cousins could have had. Club. Zara Phillips is the daughter of Princess Anne, making her granddaughter to the late Queen and first cousin to Prince William and Harry. Through her distance from the throne, it also gives her distance from paparazzi. She still has found herself caught up in a scandal or two. The most notable incident was when her husband Mike Tyndall went to New Zealand with the English rugby team. After his team won over Argentina, Mike went to a little person tossing club with his teammates. Of course, the public response to this was huge, even before celebrities like Peter Dinklage had raised awareness on how barbaric the concept is. The British public obviously did not approve. Mike maintained that he didn't partake in any little person tossing, nor did anyone on his team. But the public and family were still unimpressed. Personally, don't hate me, but I'd check it out. I wouldn't agree with what they're doing, but like, I'm curious. I'm gonna search this up right after I'm done filming this video. Pro who cousins? The late Queen's father, George, became King of England when his brother King Edward evicted his throne on December 10th, 1936, to marry Wallis Simpson, a divorcee from America. Following this, the couple was basically disowned by the rest of the family, and the public went into exile. Recent findings show that this is more than just a love story. Edward and Wallis weren't fit to be rulers of the United Kingdom because of their other interests and beliefs that they held. It's alleged that the two were German soldier sympathizers, fueled by Edward's pride of his Germany heritage and Wallis's love affair with a German soldier. Before meeting Edward, the couple visited the ruler himself in October of 1937, and it's been said that this dictator wanted to put Edward back on the British throne as his own puppet. I think Edward would have got along with Kanye West very, very well. Princess Anne's dog. The late Queen's only daughter, Princess Anne, might be more careful about getting caught up in scandals than her brothers, King Charles, Prince Andrew, and Prince Edward. But she hasn't been able to totally escape the tabloids. The princess came under fire in 2002 when one of her English Bull Terriers got loose while she was putting it in her car. It attacked two boys nearby. After the incident, the princess and her husband were taken to court in order to pay a fine, which went down in history as the first time a senior royal was charged with a criminal offense. The fine was the extent of the punishment, which angered the families of the victims in 2003. The same dog tragically took the life of one of the late Queen's most treasured corgis, and if you know anything about the late Queen, she loved her corgis. You would think that they have nannies, they have personal chefs, they have everything that you could ever ask for if you were rich, famous, and needed staff. But they couldn't train dogs. My dog's trained, and I'm poor. The Queen's sister, the late Queen Elizabeth, was arguably the most perfect person in the family. Judging by the way she presents herself to the public, she always seems to say and do the right things, and is never caught in an embarrassing moment. Her late sister, Princess Margaret, was a different story. While the late Queen is known for calculating every step she makes and controlling every detail, Margaret was more carefree in her younger years. Sources report that she started smoking and drinking at the age of 15. I like you already, Margaret. And was more concerned with living the life that she wanted rather than what was expected of her. She married in 1960 and then began an affair with a gardener 17 years younger than her, 16 years into her marriage. While the late Queen's marriage to Prince Philip lasted 70 years, Princess Margaret was divorced after 18. Now, Princess Margaret sounds like she should be the one in the spotlight because, oh my goodness, keeping up with the Kardashians just got boring after hearing how fun she was. Harry went to rehab. You might not have known that, but Prince Harry struggled with the pressures of his life as he grew up. He ended up turning to underage drinking and the use of illegal substances to help him cope. When he was just 17, Harry came clean to his father, Prince Charles, and in response, his dad had him visit a Featherstone Lodge and Rehabilitation Center in South London. He didn't receive any treatment and only took a tour and listened to patients' stories, but it helped him understand the magnitude of his actions. We think that while the late Queen might not want this to be discussed, it's actually a good thing. Harry went through what a lot of teenagers do and deal with, and dealt with it head on rather than just covering it up and letting it fester into a much bigger problem. I agree, it is good that Harry went to rehab and kind of nipped it in the bud. Obviously, his mother passed away, he dealt with paparazzi his whole life. I'm not going to say that substance abuse was the answer, but it is an easy rabbit hole for him to fall into when dealing with stuff and stress like that, at a young age especially. Now, I'm glad that his dad kind of highlighted this issue, brought him to rehab, and he kind of got clean. I'm not going to say he didn't enjoy some parties because we've seen multiple scandals after this incident, but he's doing well. He has a family. He's married to the beautiful Meghan Markle. So Harry, good on you for changing your life around. Edward, the Queen's uncle, and George, her father, had another brother who was also called George, and he was known as the Duke of Kent. Unlike most other members of this family, George and Duke of Kent lived a relatively controversial lifestyle, which was said to be a concern to the others. It was reported that George had a long list of lovers, including both men and women. He loved to party and also a hard user of illegal substances. This gossip, alleged to be true by some sources, is said to have upset the royal family at the time. But the real story that the Queen would probably rather nobody discuss is how George passed away. He lost his life in a plane crash in 1942, but several theories suggest that due to his controversial lifestyle, he was assassinated. Now, we have to understand, this could be a hoax and or propaganda due to the royals being in the spotlight, but I have read about how tight their security is, and accidents, although do happen, the royals are good at avoiding them, so this accident does make you think. I personally think that there should be a new docuseries coming out called Prince George and Princess Margaret, and we just follow all these so-called scandals and we see how fun they actually were. Because if you haven't noticed, a lot of the royals can be uptight, and not because they are uptight, but because royal protocols kind of defer them from having any real fun. Margaret and George seem like they knew how to party, and they're the royals I would get behind.
Princess Diana and Prince Andrew's secret plot to not make Charles king. Prince Andrew secretly plotted with Princess Diana to try to stop Charles from becoming king, with William to take his place on the throne, a bombshell biography claimed. The Duke of York is claimed to have wanted William to rise to the throne when the Queen passed, with Andrew himself acting as a regent if this happened before William turned 18. Andrew is also said to have lobbied the Queen to stop Charles from marrying Camilla, claiming she was untrustworthy. The allegations are from royal biographer Angela Levin's new book on Camilla, which charts her journey from being a royal outcast to becoming queen consort. Miss Levin claims the senior insider told her that Andrew wanted to push Prince Charles aside. Andrew lobbied very hard with the hope that Charles would not become king when his mother passed, and that William would wear the crown, she wrote. When Diana was alive, through her friendship with Andrew's wife Sarah, she plotted with Andrew to try to push Prince Charles aside so Prince Andrew could become regent to Prince William, who was then a teenager. They were dark and strange times, where paranoia became reality, and this was a worry. His behavior was very, very negative and extremely unpleasant to the Queen, who disagreed. I was told it was one of a rare occasions he didn't get his way. Nonetheless, he was apparently very angry that he couldn't rule the country in some way. He remained so hostile to Camilla's emergence and acceptance that is doubtful and has never been forgiven. Miss Levin also claims that the palace insider says Andrew was poisonous about Camilla to the Queen. He tried to persuade the Queen to block Charles marrying Camilla by being quite poisonous, mean, unhelpful, and very nasty about Camilla, the source said. Buckingham Palace has also not yet commented on the claims. Andrew and Charles have a strained relationship, with the king looking to slim down the monarchy in a move that could force out the Duke's daughters, Princess Beatrice and Princess Eugenie. The king reportedly does not want Andrew to play any royal role in future, following revelations about his dealings with Jeffrey Epstein.
Thanks for watching.